The message arrived on a Tuesday morning. Earth's deep space monitoring stations picked up the signal simultaneously across the globe. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had finally made contact with an alien civilization. John Carter stood at the window of his apartment, watching the news broadcasts with a mixture of awe and trepidation. 3 months later, he found himself aboard a shuttle heading toward a massive alien vessel in Earth orbit. "Remember, you represent all of humanity now," General Rivera said, adjusting John's diplomatic uniform. "The president selected you because of your background in both diplomacy and xenobiology." John nodded. His heart raced as the shuttle docked with the enormous ship. The airlock hissed open, revealing 3 alien beings. They had slender bodies, iridescent skin, and 4 arms each. Their eyes, 3 of them, blinked in vertical slits. "I am Thorax," the center alien said, its translator device converting alien sounds into English. "Chief Ambassador of the Galactic Confederation. We welcome Earth's representative." John bowed slightly. "John Carter of Earth, we are honored by your presence." The aliens led him through corridors of impossible architecture, walls that seemed to shift and flow, lighting with no visible source. Eventually, they entered a chamber where representatives from 12 different species sat around a crescent-shaped table. "The human will answer our questions," announced a bulbous creature with tentacles where arms should be. For 6 hours, John fielded questions about Earth's history, technology, social structures, and military capabilities. The aliens seemed particularly interested in Earth's propulsion systems and weapons technology. "You still use combustion engines for planetary travel?" asked a being that resembled a crystalline spider. "And your space vessels rely on chemical rockets and rudimentary ion drives." Another added, mandibles clicking in what John interpreted as amusement. "We've made significant progress in the last century," John explained. "Our newest ships—" Yes, Thorax interrupted. "We have scanned your planet thoroughly. Your technology is quaint, primitive by Confederation standards." The alien representatives exchanged glances. Some made sounds John's translator couldn't interpret, but he recognized dismissive gestures when he saw them. "The Confederation Council will deliberate," Thorax announced. John waited alone for 3 hours before being recalled to the chamber. "Earth is granted Class 3 trading status," Thorax stated. "Full membership in the Confederation is denied at this time. Your species must advance considerably before such consideration." John felt his face flush. "With respect, Ambassador Thorax, Earth has much to offer beyond technological advancement." "Perhaps," the alien replied. "But the Confederation admits members based on specific criteria. Your species fails to meet our threshold in 11 of 14 categories." The meeting concluded with arrangements for limited trade and cultural exchange. As John prepared to return to his shuttle, he overheard 2 aliens speaking in what they assumed was a private conversation. "Such an unusual developmental path," one said. "They focused on mechanical solutions rather than energy manipulation." "Interesting but inefficient," the other replied. "Though their resilience is remarkable. Most species don't survive their nuclear age." On the return shuttle, John reviewed his notes. The aliens had been polite but condescending, treating Earth like a primitive backwater world barely worth their attention. "They underestimate us," General Rivera said when John delivered his report to Earth's leadership. "Perhaps that's for the best, for now." The president nodded thoughtfully. "They didn't ask about our military reserves or the deep space program." "No," John replied. "They seemed satisfied with their scans and showed little interest in our defense capabilities." "Good," the president said. "We'll accept their trade offer and learn what we can. Meanwhile, Project Heritage continues as planned." John didn't ask what Project Heritage was. His clearance didn't extend that far. But as he left the briefing room, he couldn't help wondering if humanity had more cards to play than their new galactic neighbors realized. 5 years passed since Earth's introduction to the Galactic Confederation. Humanity adapted quickly, absorbing alien knowledge and establishing trade posts on 3 Confederation worlds. Yet Earth remained a Class 3 member, denied full rights and representation. Commander Susan Miller walked through the curved hallways of the Confederation Embassy in Geneva. As Earth's newly appointed military liaison, she'd been summoned to an emergency meeting. Something had the aliens worried. "Commander Miller, please enter," said the receptionist, a blue-skinned Andraxian with silver eyes. Inside the chamber, representatives from 8 alien species sat around a holographic display showing star maps. Several red areas blinked ominously across the projection. "The human has arrived," announced Ambassador Xorax, who had aged visibly since first contact. "Commander, we face a grave situation." The hologram zoomed in on a cluster of stars at the edge of Confederation space. Dozens of ships moved in formation through the sector. "The Hive Collective," explained Xorax. "A species we believed extinct has returned with unprecedented military strength." Susan studied the projection. "They're systematically targeting your outposts." "Correct," said General Krell, a reptilian military leader whose scales had dulled with age. 3 major Confederation bases have fallen in the past month. Our fleets have proven ineffective. Another alien, a gaseous being contained in a floating environmental suit, drifted forward. The Hive uses weapons that bypass our defensive shields. Energy-based countermeasures fail against their technology. Susan crossed her arms. "And you're telling Earth this because..." The aliens exchanged glances. Ambassador Xorax cleared his throat, or whatever passed for one in his species. "The Confederation requests Earth's assistance in this conflict." A silence fell over the room. Susan raised an eyebrow. "You want our help? Our primitive, underdeveloped planet's help?" "Your species has a unique perspective that might prove valuable," General Krell said carefully. "What my colleague means," interrupted a small furry alien, "is that we're desperate enough to consider even human suggestions." Susan fought back a smile. "I believe Earth might be able to contribute more directly than mere suggestions." "With what?" laughed a crystalline being from the far end of the table. "Your combustion engines and kinetic weapons, against ships that travel between stars in moments." Susan placed a small data drive on the table. "We've been monitoring the Hive movements. Our analysts believe their ships have vulnerabilities your forces haven't exploited." "Impossible," General Krell snorted. "Your scanning technology is centuries behind ours." "Maybe that's why we see things differently," Susan replied. "Earth could provide ships for the defense effort." The room erupted in laughter, a strange medley of clicks, whistles, and humming sounds. "Human warships." Ambassador Xorax couldn't hide his amusement. "Commander Miller, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but your vessels would be destroyed before they could even engage." Susan's face remained neutral. "Then you have nothing to lose by accepting our help." The alien representatives quieted, considering her words. "The Hive will reach the Proxima system within 3 weeks," General Krell said gravely. "If it falls, Earth will be exposed to direct attack." Susan nodded. "Then we share common interests. Earth will contribute to the defense effort." "What do you want in return?" asked Xorax suspiciously. "Full Confederation membership, immediately and permanently." The aliens protested simultaneously, creating a cacophony of outrage. Ambassador Xorax raised all 4 hands for silence. "You exploit our crisis for political gain." "I present fair terms for military alliance," Susan corrected. "Earth will commit its forces to defend Confederation space. In exchange, we become equals." After hours of heated debate, the aliens reluctantly agreed to Susan's terms. As she left the embassy, she contacted Earth's Defense Command through her secure communicator. "Admiral Barnes." They took the bait. "Activate the Heritage Fleet." Admiral William Barnes stood in Earth's military command center, watching as 3 alien observers entered the room. The Confederation representatives looked around with barely concealed disdain at what must have seemed like primitive technology to their advanced minds. "Welcome to Earth Defense Command." Admiral Barnes said, extending his hand. When the alien simply stared at it, he withdrew the gesture and continued. I understand you're here to assess our military contribution. A formality, said the tallest alien, a being named Zextura with pale blue skin and elongated fingers. Though we appreciate Earth's willingness to sacrifice its ships in the coming conflict, the Admiral nodded, maintaining his composure. Follow me. I'd like to show you something. He led them to a massive wall screen and pressed his palm against a scanner. The screen lit up, displaying a security clearance message before revealing a live feed from Earth orbit. What is that? Asked the smallest alien, leaning forward. The screen showed a massive spaceship unlike anything the aliens had seen from Earth before. It was angular and imposing, with thick armor plating covering its hull. Alongside it floated 12 similar vessels of varying sizes. This is the CNS Determination, flagship of Earth's heritage fleet, Admiral Barnes explained. And those are her sister ships. The aliens exchanged glances. These vessels were not detected in our scans of your system, said Zextura accusingly. No, they wouldn't be. They've been stationed in our outer system, shielded from detection. The Admiral smiled. One of many precautions we've taken since first contact. He pressed another control, and the view changed to show the interior of the massive ship. Crew members moved purposefully through corridors and sat at control stations. What powers these vessels? Asked the third alien, a gelatinous being suspended in a gravity field. Nuclear fusion drives for main propulsion. Chemical thrusters for maneuvering. Nothing you would consider advanced. The aliens looked confused. Such technology cannot achieve the speeds necessary for interstellar combat, Zextura stated flatly. Perhaps not by your standards, Admiral Barnes agreed. But we've refined these primitive technologies beyond what your people considered possible before abandoning them. He pressed another button, revealing the weapons systems of the fleet. Massive railguns extended from the hulls. Missile bays stood open, revealing rows of tactical nuclear warheads. Point defense laser arrays covered every angle of approach. Kinetic weapons. The gelatinous alien vibrated with what might have been laughter. Against hive energy shields. Yes, Admiral Barnes said simply, along with electromagnetic pulse generators, nuclear-tipped missiles, and armor plating designed to absorb and disperse energy attacks. He changed the display again, showing technical specifications that made the aliens fall silent. You see, while the Confederation pursued energy weapons and quantum shields, humanity took a different path. We perfected technologies your people considered obsolete. Our railguns accelerate projectiles to near-relativistic speeds. Our armor incorporates materials that actually strengthen under energy weapon impacts. The aliens stared at the screens in growing disbelief. Why did you hide these capabilities? Zextura demanded. Wouldn't you? When we met the Confederation, you immediately classified us as primitive and unworthy. We decided to let you believe that while we learned what we could about the galaxy. The Admiral turned to face the aliens directly. The Heritage Fleet represents technologies your people abandoned millennia ago, refined by human innovation and determination. You never saw their potential because you were too focused on your own technological path. Zextura's compound eyes blinked rapidly. The Confederation Council must be informed immediately. By all means, Admiral Barnes nodded. Tell them the primitive humans are ready to demonstrate what their ancient technology can do against the Hive. The fleet departs tomorrow. As the aliens hurried away to contact their leaders, Admiral Barnes smiled to himself. The Confederation was about to discover that sometimes older technology, in the right hands, could be more effective than the newest innovations. First blood. Captain Olivia Green stood on the bridge of the CNS Defiance, watching as her crew prepared for humanity's first interstellar battle. The Defiance was smaller than the fleet's flagship, but still impressive, minus 400 meters of hardened alloy, railguns, and missile bays. Status report, she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension. Lieutenant Sam Harris looked up from his console. All systems green, Captain. Weapons hot, drives at full capacity. The Hive Scout fleet is 17 minutes from intercept. On the large view screen, 12 human ships moved in formation. Behind them, maintaining a safe distance, hovered 3 Confederation vessels. The aliens had insisted on observing the engagement, though their skepticism remained obvious in every communication. "Open channel to all heritage vessels," Olivia commanded. When the communications officer nodded, she spoke clearly. "This is Captain Green. In minutes, we face an enemy that threatens not just Earth but all civilized species. We represent humanity in this fight. Remember your training. Trust your ships. Trust each other." She closed the channel and turned to her tactical officer. "Ready the EMP bursts first, followed by railgun salvos. Hold missiles in reserve." The bridge fell silent as the minutes ticked by. Finally, the sensor officer called out, "Hive vessels detected. 22 ships approaching at high velocity." "Tactical view," Olivia ordered. The screen changed to show the approaching enemy, organic-looking vessels with glowing propulsion trails. They moved with an eerie synchronization that gave them their name. "They're charging weapons," Lieutenant Harris reported. "Hold position," Olivia commanded. "Let them come to us." The Confederation observers broadcast an urgent message. "Human vessels, be advised. Hive energy weapons will penetrate your hulls. Retreat is recommended." Olivia ignored them. "All ships, execute maneuver Theseus on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." The human fleet suddenly broke formation, each ship accelerating in a different direction, while maintaining precise firing angles. The high ships fired, brilliant beams of energy lancing through space, most missing their targets as the human ships moved unpredictably. Those beams that did hit human vessels seemed to shimmer and disperse across the specialized armor. "Direct hit on our port side," reported the damage control officer. "Armor holding at 92% integrity." "Return fire," Olivia ordered. EMP bursts, full spread. From the human ships erupted dozens of small projectiles. They detonated near the Hive vessels, releasing electromagnetic pulses that washed over the enemy ships. The effect was immediate. Several Hive vessels slowed, their lights flickering. "Their shields are fluctuating," Lieutenant Harris called out. "EMP disrupted their energy systems." "All ships, railguns fire," Olivia commanded. The human vessels opened fire simultaneously. Massive tungsten projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds, hammered into the high ships. Without their energy shields at full power, the kinetic impacts tore through their hulls. 4 high ships exploded immediately. 3 more spun out of control, venting atmosphere. "They're regrouping," warned the tactical officer. "Fire nuclear missiles, proximity detonation," Olivia ordered. Missiles streaked from the human ships. They didn't aim for direct hits, but instead detonated near clusters of Hive vessels. The explosions created massive energy waves that overwhelmed the already compromised high shields. "Their communication pattern is breaking down," Lieutenant Harris reported with excitement. "They're losing coordination." Within 20 minutes, the battle was over. 17 destroyed high ships drifted in space. The remaining 5 had fled, their formation shattered. The human fleet had lost no vessels, though several showed damage to their outer armor layers. The Confederation observers broke their stunned silence. "Captain Green, this is Observer Zextura. We request permission to come aboard your vessel." Olivia allowed herself a small smile. "Permission granted, Observer. We welcome the opportunity to discuss our primitive tactical approach." As she gave orders to prepare for the visitors, reports flooded in from the other human ships. The Heritage Fleet had proven its worth. The aliens would never again underestimate humanity's ancient technology. The ancient wisdom. Chief Engineer Daniel Rodriguez wiped grease from his hands as he stood before a mixed audience of human officers and alien delegates. The emergency conference room aboard the Confederation station Harmony 7 buzzed with excitement and confusion following the Heritage Fleet's victory. "What you're asking isn't simple," Daniel said, responding to questions from a tall, mantis-like alien diplomat. "Our technology isn't primitive, it's just different." The alien clicked its mandibles in frustration. "But your vessels use nuclear fission and chemical propellants. The Confederation abandoned such methods centuries ago." Daniel nodded and moved to the holographic display. "Yes, but we never stopped improving them. Look at our reactor designs." He pulled up schematics of the CNS Defiance's power systems. The aliens leaned forward, their eyes widening as they studied the intricate details. "We didn't pursue energy shields like your species did," Daniel explained. "Instead, we developed armor that actually absorbs energy attacks and redistributes the heat. The more you hit us with energy weapons, the stronger our armor becomes." A gelatinous alien wobbled forward. "But such systems must be incredibly heavy. How do your ships maintain maneuverability?" "That's the beauty of it," Daniel smiled. "We use the weight as an advantage. Our inertial systems give us stability during high-G maneuvers that would tear apart lighter vessels." The conference room doors slid open as Admiral Lisa Watson entered with the Confederation's Supreme Commander, a towering being with crystalline features that reflected the room's lighting. "Engineer Rodriguez," Admiral Watson nodded. "Continue your explanation. The Supreme Commander is particularly interested in our weapon systems." Daniel brought up new schematics. "Our railguns operate on principles you all understand but abandoned. We've pushed the technology to accelerate projectiles to 0.1 t. That's 1/10 light speed. At that velocity, no energy shield can fully disperse the kinetic impact." The Supreme Commander's voice resonated like chimes. "We believed kinetic weapons were obsolete against modern defenses. That's why they work," Daniel replied. "The Hive expected energy weapons they could counter. They never prepared for tungsten rods moving at relativistic speeds." He changed the display again, showing the fleet's electronic warfare systems. "Then there's our approach to communications. The Hive uses quantum entanglement for instant coordination, but we discovered they're vulnerable to old-fashioned radio jamming when overwhelmed." For hours, Daniel and other human engineers explained their technological philosophy. The aliens asked increasingly detailed questions, their initial dismissiveness giving way to genuine curiosity. "Your species took a path none of ours considered viable," admitted a blue-skinned scientist. "While we pursued ever more advanced energy manipulation, you refined mechanical and chemical systems beyond what we thought possible." Admiral Watson stepped forward. "And now we need to combine our approaches. The Hive will adapt to our tactics. Their main fleet is still approaching, and it's 10 times the size of the scout force we defeated." The Supreme Commander's crystalline form sparkled as it moved. "The Confederation Council has voted. We request full integration of human vessels into our defense forces. Your ancient technology complements our advanced systems in ways we never anticipated." The meeting transformed into a joint planning session. Human engineers worked alongside alien technicians, finding ways to install kinetic weapons on Confederation ships and upgrade human vessels with limited quantum communication systems. "It's like they skipped a step in technological evolution," Daniel overheard one alien saying to another. "They never abandoned physical weapons because they kept finding new ways to make them effective." As Daniel watched humans and aliens working together, he felt a sense of pride. Humanity hadn't tried to copy the aliens' advanced technology when they first met. Instead, they had perfected their own path, proving that sometimes the oldest solutions, refined through determination and innovation, could overcome the most advanced challenges. The Heritage Fleet was no longer a curiosity. It was the cornerstone of a new defensive strategy that might save both humanity and their new allies. Admiral Lisa Watson faced the holographic display, showing the approaching Hive armada. 273 enemy ships moved in perfect formation, a swarm heading directly for the Confederation's core worlds. "They've adjusted their shields," reported Commander Ryan Lewis, Studying sensor data, our railgun effectiveness will be reduced by approximately 30%. Lisa nodded grimly. The Hive had learned from their earlier defeat, adapting their defenses against human weapons. But humanity had anticipated this. They think they've countered our tactics, she said. That gives us an advantage. Around her stood a mixture of human officers and alien commanders. After weeks of joint preparations, the defense fleet consisted of 42 human vessels and 63 Confederation ships, a combined force that represented the greatest strength both civilizations could muster on short notice. The plan remains unchanged, Lisa announced. Human vessels will form the vanguard in 3 wedge formations. Confederation ships will provide long-range support and execute flanking maneuvers. A reptilian commander named Drek tilted his scaled head. Admiral, our simulations suggest this formation places human ships at extreme risk. Correct, Lisa agreed. Our vessels are designed to absorb damage that would destroy yours. We'll draw their fire while your ships target their propulsion systems. The command center hummed with activity as final preparations were made. Throughout the fleet, human crews checked weapons systems while alien technicians monitored the newly integrated defense networks. Aboard the CNS Valiant, Captain Peter Martinez walked through the crew quarters. His people were nervous but determined. Many had family pictures taped to their stations, reminders of what they fought for. Captain, to the bridge, came the announcement over the ship's comm system. When Peter reached the bridge, his executive officer pointed to the main screen. The Hive has altered course. They're accelerating. All hands to battle stations, Peter ordered. Prepare primary defenses. Across the combined fleet, similar orders echoed. The human ships moved into position, forming 3 distinct groups that would spearhead the defense. Admiral Watson's voice came through on the fleet-wide channel. All vessels, the enemy will be in range in 17 minutes. Remember, we fight not just for Earth or the Confederation, but for all free species. Execute Battle Plan Thermopylae. The human ships surged forward, engines blazing at maximum output. The aliens watched with a mixture of admiration and concern as the primitive vessels accelerated directly toward the incoming Hive swarm. They're opening fire, reported a sensor officer on the flagship. Energy beams from the Hive vessels lanced across space. The human ship's specialized armor absorbed the impacts, dispersing the heat across their hulls. Return fire, ordered Captain Martins. All rail batteries, continuous salvo. Launch EMP missiles. The human fleet unleashed a devastating barrage. Projectiles traveling at a significant fraction of light speed tore through the front line of Hive ships. Electromagnetic pulse missiles detonated amid the enemy formation, disrupting their coordination. For 30 minutes, space itself seemed to burn as the 2 forces clashed. Human vessels took tremendous punishment, their armor glowing red-hot from absorbed energy. Yet they continued fighting, their weapons creating gaps in the Hive formation that the Confederation ships exploited. Admiral, called out Commander Lewis urgently, the Hive is concentrating fire on our center formation. They're trying to split our forces. Lisa studied the tactical display. Perfect. Signal all human vessels to execute Maneuver Delta 9. The order flashed throughout the fleet. Alien observers watched in disbelief as the human ships performed what their calculations had deemed impossible, an intricate series of high G turns and acceleration burns that no living crew should have been able to withstand. The maneuver placed the human vessels behind and between clusters of high ships, creating confusion in their perfect formation. Now, Lisa commanded, all Confederation vessels target the designated coordinates. As one, the alien ships fired their advanced energy weapons precisely where the human vessels had created vulnerabilities in the Hive formation. The combined assault shattered the enemy's coordination. Within hours, the once mighty Hive armada lay in ruins. Those enemy ships not destroyed were retreating in disarray. The cost had been high. 11 human vessels lost, 17 Confederation ships destroyed. But the core worlds were safe. As damage reports came in, Admiral Watson allowed herself a moment of relief. Humanity had proven itself not just worthy allies, but essential ones. The ancient fleet had made the difference between victory and extinction. Captain Frank Daniels stood at attention as the Confederation Council entered the Grand Chamber. 6 months had passed since the decisive victory over the Hive Collective. Today marked a historic occasion, Earth's formal recognition as a full and equal member of the Galactic Confederation. The chamber buzzed with representatives from over 30 alien species. Many wore translators, but increasingly, aliens were learning human languages directly. English and Mandarin had become popular subjects of study throughout Confederation space. "Please be seated," announced the council chairperson, a luminous being whose body seemed composed of pure energy. "Today we welcome Earth not merely as a new member, but as the savior of our civilization." Frank felt pride swell in his chest. He had commanded the CNS Intrepid during the final battle, losing his right arm when a Hive energy beam penetrated his ship's bridge. Now he wore a prosthetic limb designed through a collaboration between human and alien medical technology. The chairperson continued, "In recognition of humanity's unique contributions, Earth will hold special status within our military command structure. The integration of human tactical philosophy and technology has already begun transforming our defensive capabilities." Across the Confederation, joint shipyards were busy constructing a new generation of vessels. These hybrid ships combined the best of human kinetic weapons with alien energy systems, creating defenses the Hive could not easily counter. "Captain Daniels," the chairperson called, "please approach the council table." Frank walked forward, conscious of the hundreds of eyes following his movement. "You have been selected to command the first joint species exploration vessel, the Harmony. Your crew will consist of humans and representatives from 7 Confederation species." Frank accepted the formal documentation with a bow. "I am honored to accept this responsibility." After the ceremony, Frank mingled with alien dignitaries who had once mocked human technology. Now they asked detailed questions about railgun designs and armor composition. "It is humbling," admitted Zextura, who had been among the first aliens to witness the Heritage Fleet in action. "My people spent centuries pursuing energy manipulation, believing it the only path to advancement. We never considered perfecting technologies we had abandoned." "Different paths can lead to the same destination," Frank replied. "Humanity simply took the road less traveled." In the corners of the room, human engineers collaborated with alien scientists, sketching designs for new defensive systems. The concept of kinetic weapons had sparked a renaissance in Confederation military thinking. On a large screen at the far end of the chamber, a live feed showed the Earth shipyards where new vessels were under construction. The largest, nearly complete, bore the name CNS Constitution, a massive battleship that incorporated both human and alien technology. An alien diplomat approached Frank with an unusual request. "Captain, my government wishes to send observers to study your educational institutions. We wish to understand how humans develop their unique way of thinking." Frank smiled. "I'm sure that can be arranged." As the celebration continued, Frank slipped away to a quiet balcony overlooking the Confederation capital city. The alien architecture soared impossibly high, buildings seeming to defy gravity itself. He was joined by Admiral Watson, now serving as Earth's military attaché to the Confederation. "Quite a change from 6 months ago," she remarked. "From primitives to partners." Frank nodded. "They needed us as much as we needed them. They just didn't know it yet. The ambassador from Nexus Prime is requesting permission to study our history books," Watson said with amusement. "Particularly military history. Apparently, they're fascinated by how humans fought each other for centuries before reaching space. Every mistake taught us something valuable." Frank replied. "While they were perfecting energy weapons, we were learning from thousands of years of warfare with primitive tools." As they watched the alien sunset cast rainbow shadows across the city, a message arrived on Frank's communicator. The Harmony was ready for its shakedown cruise. "Time to get back to work," he said, straightening his uniform. There's a whole galaxy waiting for us to explore together. The Confederation had laughed at humanity's ancient fleet. Now they built their future around it. Sometimes, the oldest wisdom proved the most enduring. Although the original plan was for a 7-part story, I'll create an additional part that serves as an epilogue to complete the narrative arc. Legacy. 5 years after Earth joined the Galactic Confederation as a full member, the universe had changed in ways few could have imagined. Captain Frank Daniels stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, watching ships come and go through the massive space dock. The vessels represented a new era of cooperation. Some bore the sleek lines of traditional Confederation design, now reinforced with human-inspired armor plating. Others showed the more angular, practical aesthetics of Earth shipbuilding, enhanced with alien technology. Each represented the blending of two technological paths that had once seemed incompatible. "Admiring your handiwork?" asked a familiar voice. Frank turned to see Admiral Lisa Watson approaching, her uniform now bearing both Earth and Confederation insignia. "Just thinking about how far we've come," Frank replied. 5 years ago, they called us primitives." Lisa smiled. "And now half the Confederation's fleet uses railgun technology." The two officers watched as a massive ship eased out of its dock. The CNS Unity was the newest flagship of the combined fleet, a vessel twice the size of anything humanity had built before the Alliance, yet incorporating the primitive principles that had saved the Confederation. "The Hive has been quiet lately," Frank noted. "They're regrouping, but intelligence suggests they're developing new defenses against our weapons," Lisa replied. "It's an endless cycle. They adapt, we adapt." Frank nodded. This was the nature of conflict, a lesson humanity had learned through thousands of years of warfare that the Confederation species, with their long periods of peace, had forgotten. A group of alien cadets passed by, led by a human instructor. The education exchange program had become one of the most successful initiatives of the new alliance. Humans taught tactical thinking and engineering innovation, while aliens shared knowledge of advanced physics and energy manipulation. "How's the Harmony performing?" Lisa asked, referring to Frank's exploration vessel. "Better than expected. The crew has finally learned to work as a unit instead of separate species. We've charted 17 new systems in the past year." A notification chimed on Frank's communicator. He checked the message and smiled. "Speaking of innovation, the Joint Research Team has finished the prototype." They made their way to a secure laboratory deep within the station. Inside, engineers from 4 species worked around a device that appeared deceptively simple, a small cylinder with various components attached. "Is this it?" Lisa asked, clearly unimpressed by its appearance. "Don't let looks deceive you," said Alina Parker, the lead human engineer. "This combines Confederation quantum field technology with human materials science. We're calling it a gravitational inversion drive." "In simple terms?" Frank asked. "It creates a controlled gravitational field that pulls the ship forward, rather than pushing it from behind. Theoretical speeds are 50 times faster than our current engines, with 1/10 the energy consumption." Lisa circled the device. The Confederation tried something similar a century ago. It failed. Because they approached it from a purely energy-based perspective, Alina explained. "We added physical components that stabilized the field, something they considered too primitive to attempt." This was the new pattern throughout Confederation space, breakthroughs emerging from the combination of human practical engineering and alien theoretical science. As they left the laboratory, Frank and Lisa paused at a memorial wall displaying the names of those lost in the Hive conflict. Human and alien names intermingled, a testament to their shared sacrifice. "Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if they hadn't underestimated us at first contact," Frank mused. "We might never have developed the Heritage Fleet in secret," Lisa replied. "Sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage." Outside the viewport, a training squadron performed maneuvers, small vessels piloted by mixed crews of humans and aliens learning to think as one unit. "The next generation won't remember when we were separate," Frank said. To them, this alliance will seem natural. Lisa nodded. The greatest legacy of our ancient fleet wasn't just saving the Confederation. It was proving that different paths of development all have value. As ships continued their dance through space, Frank reflected on humanity's journey from dismissed newcomers to essential allies. The universe had much to teach them, but humanity, with its unique perspective, had just as much to offer in return.